All right, so in this one, as currently when this video is being recorded, you can see it is 2, well, you can't see actually. It is 2 p.m. right now on the 22nd, so currently PvP has been down, or the game rather, the whole entire game has been down for about, 19, 20 hours. So I'm just recording this. I don't know if this is going up the same day, because maybe the game's still down. I need a secondary video, or this is going up in a couple days. I don't know, but I just want to react to Goresh's ranking the top 10 best designed units throughout the game's history. I think this is an interesting topic, and I can't do my own content right now because there's no content to do because the game isn't up. So I figure a reaction video is something more than nothing, because how could I do a video on the actual game if the game's not up? This is a reminiscent idea here just because there's nothing I can do. So I'm going to go through this, obviously pause when I have my critiques, my opinions, yada, yada, yada. I got mentioned this a couple times in the last few days, but nothing too extreme, you know, not like anything outlandish. I'm just curious to see. I don't remember any of the things that were said, so yeah, let's just get into it. I wanted to do a
video where we jumped in and talked about the top 10 best designed characters in Dragon Ball Legends. I think this could actually make for some pretty interesting dialogue.
I wonder the wording on that.
People in the comments
what it
make
means.
some pretty interesting comments. I might go ahead and do a YouTube comment section reaction video, looking at what people are saying in the comment section to this video, and I'll give my thoughts on.
You guys can't see, but I'm gonna check them real quick.
I think before we jump into the list, it's important that we discuss what exactly constitutes good design.
Red Pycon.
And I think the term character design and what makes for good character design can differ from person to person. So
yeah, I'm curious his take on what a good
disagree with my list
design
because
is.
of your personal view on what makes a character well designed. That's perfectly valid.
Okay. So I'm just going to say what I think makes a character very well designed. What makes a character very well designed is a process where it's healthy for the game, where it's not impacting the game in a negative light, where this unit is like Ultra Gogeta Blue. His design is a negative to the game. While he's very good and, you know, one of the best, if not the best units in the game, this unit's design is terrible for range type units. It's terrible for aggressive play. It's terrible for a lot of just situations where you have to play in a manner of more safety than offense, and playing safe means you're playing passive, and playing passive means the game just gets stalled and it's boring. So a unit that could give a more aggressive playstyle that enforces aggression and doesn't negatively impact other units because of them being aggressive and forcing that playstyle. An example could be Puddle. I think Puddle's a great example because what he does is, okay, well, I got hit, I swapped out, I amped my ally, and he's amping every ally in the game. He doesn't have a restriction of his support. He's making the game more aggressive because you want to, hit them within those timer count windows. You want to fucking go. You don't want to play passive with Puddle. You want to play aggressive and get that utility from his support and use it to its maximum effectiveness. Again, UGB would be a bad unit for a situation on design because of how he negatively impacts other units. But Puddle, well, he only amps units, and he only helps. I will say there's a negative to him that's not as strong as Ultra Gogeta Blue's, which is your power creeping damage numbers and making them way too high at a fast rate. I think his timing of drop is terrible, Puddle, because he's 2 years old, and he's still as good as he is as a top 15 unit. But I do think the concept of him was very good for what we want in a aggressive manner of a game, which you want to play the game, right? You don't want to play passive, you want to play aggressive. So that's my idea of, like, a good, like, design, like, for the game. Not just for the unit, for the entire game.
For me, there are a number of factors that good design entails, and so, for the purpose of this video, I'll name the 3 most important things about a character that, when considered together, I think create the overarching design of the character. Of course, there are more than just 3 factors that I think determine, if a character is well designed or not. But I think these are probably the 3 most important things. So number 1, longevity of the character's usability. AKA will the character continue to offer value for an extended period of time.
I think this intro is important.
The character has a clear purpose/role on their teams, and they're able to accomplish this goal without being too underwhelming or too overwhelming.
You know his role.
So basically,
a
character.
He's not. It's exactly what I'm saying, Puddle. He's not too overwhelming in output, but he's not bad in it. But he's also doing his job always
out,
perfectly.
You know exactly where you want to use them. It's pretty obvious where they're meant to be used.
Yes.
And they're not too underpowered, and they're not too overpowered. Pretty much what that means there.
Spitting.
And number 3, I would say that this is probably one of the most important things here. There is a significant level of enjoyment from the perspectives of both the user of the character and the person fighting the character. So the character is not boring to
Said
use
the same damn thing.
and not annoying to fight against. On both ends.
UGB! Boring, right?
If you enjoy fighting a character and the person using the character enjoys using the character.
Another, I don't think he'd be here because he's not, I mean, I guess he's not old enough to, I wouldn't consider him here because he's not old enough to. Maybe he could, like, reach it somewhere, like, bullshit reach it, right? The new 17. He's not that bad to fight. Like, I don't mind fighting him, but he's also a god in design. Like, just all the things he can do is 97 different utilities. Also him. Just these 2 units, Puddle, 17, very good in design of not annoying as fuck, but not, like, trash. Very good in their role.
And I think with this, obviously being
Once you
He's
meet
right.
the TurboTax expert, who will do your
We
taxes
watch the
for you.
ads, if we can't skip
What
them.
you do, not taxes.
I'll check on the side here if Legends is up. I mean, if Legends is up, I don't even know when this video would go up, to be honest.
With rich crema.
I can't even think of one.
the purpose of a game is meant to
Guess I'll figure it
have
out.
a good time and stuff like that. So I think that is important when we look at these characters. It's not just all about how good the character is, because if it was, this would just be a top 10 best character list of all time. That's not what this list is meant to be. So
Spitting.
now that we have
Spitting.
that
He's
out of the
spitting. He's
way,
spitting.
and we've clearly defined what I consider to be the measures of good
Now let
design,
me
let's
hear
go ahead
these.
and jump into my list of the top 10 best designed characters in Dragon Ball Legends history. So coming in at number 10 on the list, we're going to go with Yellow Perfect Cell. So for the
Okay, so I'm just going to point out, I don't have a list, obviously. I'm just kind of going off the feel of like, oh yeah, that unit. Okay, makes sense. If I agree, I'm just going to like move forward, right? Cell, I'm just going to point out, Cell was one of the best. He was the best aging unit for a good minute. Cell was used since his release, even until Rage Trunks dropped. Was not it? So Cell was pre-first anniversary. Then he was used until second anniversary. That gives him a lifespan of, I'm not sure the exact date he drops that in play, but gives him a lifespan of at least over 15 months. So yeah, Cell was very good aging. He was meant for offense. I could agree with this. I don't really care about the order of them until like we get to the end. So I just say I agree with this. I think Cell was a very good design. His cover rescue, all these things that he does do. His output, his cover rescue, he was doing his job. Maybe he was a little bit annoying to fight later on in his lifespan, but I don't think he was ever like so arbitrarily broken you couldn't ever beat Cell. Like, you could beat Cell without running Cell, and that's like a really good design as well, right? So I'm just going to skip through if I could agree with the concept of it. I don't want to make this video that long, because it's already 8 minutes. I'm 2 minutes in. I don't want to make it that dragged out for you guys here.
coming in at number 9, we have
a very new unit.
Blue
hear
Zamasu,
this.
pretty recent character.
I'll say his design, he is pretty annoying to fight. I will say his fucking green cards, you know that, right? They're annoying as fuck. But
At this point,
let me hear.
if
Let
we're
me hear.
recording this video,
I don't know
this guy's
about
only
this.
a few months old, so it's pretty nice to see them recently adding a lot of good designed characters. We'll get to more in the list as we go forward here, but
yeah, I'm assuming this means
there's not
17,
really
by
much
the way.
to say about this
how he's
character, just so you
describing it.
guys know how this guy works. He obviously was designed in mind to be a tank. Obviously, he's a defensive type. And his role as like a damage sponge / a healer on the future team on powerful opponent, it's definitely really good. Regen right now doesn't really exist as a team because they refuse to buff it, but I think when Regen does, eventually
Mention his
see
green
a
card?
resurgence, which I hope it does soon, I think this Zamasu is probably going to be one of the first characters you decide to include on your Regen team because of how much value he brings to the table here. So this
True.
character,
Every
I
team,
think,
honestly.
checking off in terms of longevity, I think that might be
Turned
the
all
one
blues right
weak
now.
point of this character. I think if power creep continues the way it has been, and I think we even saw this guy get a decently hard counter when Ultra Goju to Blue released, because he was like the very next character to come out after the Zamasu did. The fact that he obviously ignores endurance when he uses a Rising Rush definitely hurts this character a lot. But I'm not really going to
I was thinking like how, but yeah, I
being
guess.
weak to Goju
Yeah, that
to Blue,
would make
because
sense. Yeah, you
pretty
can run
much
double
every
blues
character in
just
the
at
game is weak to
17.
Goju to Blue. But I think this Zamasu definitely does bring a lot to the table, right? His
17 's
extreme
fine.
tankiness, the key reduction is massive. I think being a defensive character, it's not enough right now just to be tanky. You also have to have some disruption in your kit as well to be able to deal with a lot of these characters that are getting 3 times
Green
cardio
card.
speed and infinite key and infinite vanish back. Like, you need to have ways to stop those things from happening, or else you can be as tanky as you want, but it's not really going to help you. So that, in combination with the healing that he provides for the team, he has a really interesting counter, the green card that he has. You can obviously force draw one with his main ability as well. I think the way that they designed it is actually really, really good because it punishes you for using it against players who are using blast cards. It only...
All right, kid.
Obviously, we'll skip the ad, but
You ready for an adventure?
works against
let me hear more about this
tap
green
attacks
card.
or strike cards. And I think the ability that it gives you with Cover Null is also pretty good because it's not too long, right? It's not like it's giving you 20 counts of Cover Null. I believe it's only
It's also a long
5 or
animation.
10 or something like that. So
3.
you can I think it's
It's
actually
like
5. Let me just make sure that I'm not lying to you
Yeah,
guys
actually,
here.
please.
Yeah, 5 counts. I think that's fine, right? Because it lets you get a few cards in, and then after that, I mean, the enemy can either try to cover change you or
The animation length is
disrupt you in
also
some
long,
way.
so it feels like 3.
I think overall
'cause the
this guy does
animation
bring
length
lots to
is
the table.
long,
Also,
so
he
I
does
do.
bring the
Timer counts.
relatively new at this point.
So he went over the green card. That was kind of like my nitpick of this. I don't know. I would say he could fit here, sure, I guess, but like that green card is very like he's very annoying at times. This unit, he can like 1v2 pretty easily if you just have neutral units all around, and there's no real like tanky green that's running. Like you have the 4s who are squishy. You have Revival Goku who's even squishier than the 4s because well he's a fucking revival character, right? And his whole gimmick of UI. I can understand this. I maybe am like going too far in the annoyance of the green card zone, but everything else about him, I think arts power debuffing isn't annoying right now. I think it will be in the future because like Zamasu does it, Pan does it, 17 does it, right? And well, 17 cancels actually upgrade the buff effect, which is a similarity to it, right? I think it can be. I don't think it is now. I don't think he's oppressive enough to make that defensive aspect too annoying, so I can understand this. I don't fully think he's like needed to be here. Like, could I have Yellow Hit in this position over Zamasu? Because Yellow Hit was just a very fun unit. He allowed different meta situation of you running him on LOE with full power Frieza and Cooler. Yeah, but like, do I need Zamasu here? No. Can I understand it? Yeah. I don't need to really hear more about him because I can understand the perspective of having Zamasu here, right? I just don't agree with it, is all.
Number 8 on the list, we have free-to-play Yellow Super Saiyan Trunks.
Let me hear this.
This
is interesting.
This is actually going
I
to
don't
be the
disagree.
only free-to-play character on the list. And I think a lot of people would not
Not
disagree
Red
with my
21?
take here that this is probably the most well-designed free-to-play character they've ever released.
He was until Red 21 came out with her Zenkai. I assume he means not Zenkai then. Even so, Broly's pretty good in design. Like Broly's like right next to this guy in design. Like they are like 1A 1B type shit.
I mean,
but
when I talk about
okay.
the 3 factors that I think makes a good design for a character, there really might not be a better example of, the second point I mentioned, which was a character having a clear purpose / role in their team. Because if we take a look at this
then
Trunks'
die,
entire
basically,
kit
with
is
main.
based around doing 2 things. The first thing is to pop the main
Pop
ability,
main, then die.
get a full hand of cards, 10 counts of cover nullification, farming up your Rising Rush, doing a bunch of damage. The
Then
enemy
cut.
switches while you have cover null on, you're shortening ally subcount by 2. You're getting, I guess, subcount reduction, and you're drawing more cards. And then when this character dies, you're giving a pretty sizable death buff, 20% HP to the whole team, and then 30% damage inflicted. A 30% damage inflicted non-cancelable buff for your whole team on death, like that's a very strong effect. 30% damage on some of these really hard-hitting characters, like that is powerful.
I'm gonna agree with this, Trunks. Yeah, I agree. He is a very good banner design because you could have replaced Puddle if he weren't high enough stars. I mean, that was like a low star fucking Puddle back then, but like if Puddle wasn't high enough stars, you could get this Trunks. Did very good damage. He did his cover and all, which wasn't too tedious because it's literally 10 counts. Like you can manage 10 counts and not be like over the fucking moon annoyed about it because it never happens again on the unit. He was never something that's like, oh my god, I fucking hate fighting this guy, right? He was just like, oh, it's this Trunks again. And it's not really a problem to you. It's just like, yeah, he exists. And he did well. His kit was designed well. So, yeah. Trunks, yeah, I could agree with that. Actually, I'm surprised he's here, but I'm glad he's
Coming
here.
in at number 7 on the list, we have Blue Topo.
Woo! Yes! 100% agree. I need to hear nothing. That's just how it is. Yeah, I 100% agree. Blue Topo, yes. Obviously, on his initial release, giving the, Blue or USS support buffs, he was essentially the Walmart Puddle, right? Because Puddle, what he did, well, he came out prior to Puddle. I think he did. Yeah, he came out prior to Puddle a little bit, not too much, but like a little bit prior, a couple months, right? He was the Walmart Puddle. He gave support when he was hit, and then you had the USS team with Jiren, UI, Dispo trying to run about with the Bergamo, Basil, Lavender, all that bullshit trying to run about. And Topo, he was, again, the pre-Puddle. He was the Puddle 1.0. Puddle was the actual Puddle 2.0 that obviously aged like the god he has aged like, but Topo, very good on his defensiveness, on his support, on his utility. He had a lot of good shit. He was a very well-designed unit. I wish we got a Topo design type unit. Once again, that's restrictive, yes, because, Puddle does exist, and we're not going to replace Puddle. It's just not enough to replace him, most likely. But I just wish we had a Topo design unit that also lowered the sub count the ways he can, and how prominently he can actually, affect the match with being a support type unit, as he is. Very good design of a character. Really like the Topo. He was annoying as fuck because of his defensiveness, but he's literally meant to be such a unit, so it's not like it's a negative. It's just he did his design well, and he did well because of it. Number 6. Oh, can I scroll? Hello, thank you, appreciate that. Oh, first form Frieza. Oh, hello! What? Ritz. I thought that said Ritz. Let me see Twitter real quick to make sure nothing's happening.
In real life sweat conditions.
Anything?
Keeps working when others stop.
I'm just waiting for a Legends tweet.
But I think everything this character is doing in terms of a foundation backbone for the Rather Universe tag was really good. There's not really I would change about Topo. Had him as a defensive / support type character, both that 2-in-1 role that he had on the team, I think was
tough.
Basically essential for the
that's why I
Universe
just
team when this got released. So number 7 is Blue Topo. Let's move on to number 6. Coming in at number 6, we have LF First Form Frieza. Now this is actually
Let me hear this.
Only
This one
Zenkai
intrigues
character on this list. And so I guess what I'll say is, for the purposes of how good this character's design is, he did not really.
I just want to point out that makes sense why it's the only Zenkai character. For 2 reasons. I was thinking of Namek and FSK, but those motherfuckers, and then OG3Ku. Yeah, none of those motherfuckers are fun to play against. I'm trying to think of others that were good enough, but not broken and again, good enough. I don't really think there is anybody that aged well, because aging obviously is a thing. He even mentioned that, longevity, right? This Frieza barely falls in the aging well category, but I don't understand why it's him over anybody else that's a Zenkai. I can understand
make him
at least
more modern in terms of his stats. I feel like he does gain card draw speed with his last unique ability on his upon Zenkai
Doesn't
Awakening,
matter.
but I feel like the
Doesn't do
fundamental
damage.
aspect of
His
what
ult does
made
damage,
this guy
that's it.
good prior to his Zenkai Awakening
and his green.
didn't really change post Zenkai Awakening. They kind of just modernized
Which was
his
his
kit.
green,
And I
his
feel
ult,
like that's
and holding
pretty
blue.
much what a Zenkai should be, right? The
And
Zenkai
cool.
Awakening shouldn't make you infinitely better than what you were when you were a new character, unless you were terrible
Refurbish
when
you to
came out, I'm sure.
modernize. That's all it should do.
But this Frieza, I mean,
I wish I
you
could go
guys-
for Jiren!
Another character that I don't think really
Maybe I
takes
do
a
when
lot
this
of
video
thought
goes
to
up.
understand why this guy was so good. This guy pretty much encapsulated and created the base of what LOE was, and still to this day is, since LOE became a tag, right? LOE became a tag when Shield came out. And
I don't know
it didn't
about
really
now,
become
but
a
he
prominent
did,
team,
yes.
I think until this
I don't know
Frieza
about
came
now,
out, and you
though.
could argue
You could
that
run
even to
Mecha
this
over
day, this
him,
guy's
obviously.
poor on LOE. The fact that he holds a blue card with how
I don't
strong
agree
all
with
the blue
that.
card effects are on LOE. His green card is insanely
No.
good. He has a cover change against strike cards. His ultimate hits very hard against Saiyans. He's doing a lot. He's healing. He's pretty tanky. And I think just his role on LOE has allowed the team to be good. Whenever we see an LOE character release and people are like, oh, this guy doesn't seem that good, or blah 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 blah, you always have to remember in the back of your mind that this guy's presence on LOE really does change how LOE characters are going to have to be evaluated whenever they release, right? So we can see a character like Mecha
To an
Frieza.
extent,
Mecha
yes.
Frieza doesn't really look that impressive, right? Upon first glance, if you look at his kid, he's kind of just he can do some stuff, but he's not.
I don't agree with that. I think Mecha Frieza is pretty okay.
If you run Mecha Frieza next to this guy, even though it might not be the best idea because their colors overlap, but you can definitely notice a pretty significant difference in performance.
Look at he supports.
Mecha Frieza
That's
next
why.
to this Frieza
Blue card
versus,
holding.
just
He does his.
on
That's
a
his job.
team-
He does
on a
his
team
job
versus
well.
Frieza.
That's really it. LFSA does his job. That's really all you could say. And that's true. I don't think there's much more than that, though. I don't think he's core or any of this. He does his job, and I mean, that's just how it is.
Number
that's all you
5
can
is
really
going
say.
to be
I don't think there's more.
Yellow Angel Vegeta.
Halo. Okay, he wasn't annoying. Because again, that's like the main one that pops out to me, if they're fucking annoying or not. If they're annoying, I'm not going to like count them. Like Zamasu, again, to an extent, I don't really see it, but like I can understand it. Halo wasn't annoying, but what he did for his allies was fucking annoying. The healing that he gave, the huge ass fucking key that OG3 could, he get like 100 key on entry because Halo would give key on swap out, then 3 would get key on entry. He'd have 100 key on entry, and it's like, okay, got it. Halo wasn't annoying. I can see this. I can obviously see number 5 as well. I actually think he could be a little bit higher, like 4 or 3, because he really did his fucking job well. Yeah, Halo just has overall good design. Obviously going neutral, having the support for Goku's more than anybody else. Not really too much more for Goku's, but still more for Goku's than anybody else. When his Zenkai happens, I gotta say, this unit will be most likely, if it's done with any sense of care, like 2% of care, he should be core everywhere you could ever run him. I mean Vegeta Clan, I mean Saiyans, I mean literally any team in the entire game. I mean, leader slot him at this fucking rate, like, there's not many reds, there's hit and there's pan. Like, if he used Zenkai at any time recently, before another, like, red LF drops, he would be, like, such a solid foundation to a lot of teams. Honestly, the Tag 4s could, like, use this guy, being a yellow-green kind of setup with Forku, because, I mean, you have 17, and 17 is a fine unit, but, like, imagine you could amp the 4s, because GT doesn't really have an amp right now. And you can amp the 4s, ooh, be pretty crazy. And yes, I know GT17 and then LF4Q can support, yet their support's so minimal compared to like this guy's. All that key on entry, that's what OG3Ku was. That's what this guy would be for the 4s if he's Zenkai'd, and that is a really good thing for them because they could use a lot of key because they could combo for a long time in that cover null first when there's all 3 enemies, right? So I agree with this. Halo, very, very good aging. Very annoying allies. He's not annoying, but very annoying allies. But yeah. Oh! I figured this guy would be in the list here. Yep. OG, well, not OG, but Purple Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. Okay.
Anything else?
What is this ad? Watch my ads too, thank you. We done?
To number 4. All right, coming in at number 4, we have the actual best support character I think they've ever released, which is this Vegeta. But wait, why does it say range type right there? Well, I don't know. I think they screwed up when they made this unit. This is probably like the only character where I think on the list I don't understand. Feel annoyed to play against a lot of the time, but I still think he's well designed enough to warrant.
Wait. How is he annoying? Wait, I'm so confused on 2 things. Why is range type bad? I guess on a release because you ran him with VB? And like the Goku was strike based as well that came alongside him, so maybe you want to be strike based? I guess it was bad, but it wasn't like, oh, no word. I didn't mind it at all. I thought it was fine. I thought I could just throw away the blast cards with him and then just go to fucking VB and just have all the strikes and then boom, 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 I'm winning the match. Also, you could have ran Purple Blue back then. I know Rage Trunks existed, but like VB was God, and you're amping VB. You have Merzumasu, who's like okay bulk back then. Actually, you didn't really like need it. Or you could just run him and Rage Trunks together. I mean, that was also a thing, and then just save the strikes for VB, right? But nonetheless, best support unit. I mean, amplifying wise, no. Best aging support unit, yes, but like best support unit, no. Wait, did he say best aging or best support unit? Wait.
This is probably like which is this Vegeta. But wait, why does it say range type right there? Well, I don't know. I think they screwed up when they made this unit. This is probably like the only character where I think on the list I actually.
Wait, what did he say prior? Wait, I didn't hear it prior.
Best support
character
Did I miss design-wise they've ever released. So, Angel Vegeta number 5. Let's move on to number 4. All right, coming in at number 4, we have the actual best support character I think they've ever released, which is this Vegeta.
Oh, No. Pan's such a far superior support. I mean, amplifying wise, he can ramp up his amplifying, and that's good. But like, the lowering sub count's much more frugal with Pan because the green card's the main ability. All the bullshit to lower sub count's very fast with Pan in comparison. So like, aging wise, I'm sure he's up there, but like, he's definitely not better than
don't
Pan
see him as much
or
anymore.
maybe
This
Puddle.
guy
But
definitely had
Pan,
an extremely
no.
long usability period. I mean, this guy came out during the second anniversary.
He was used up until Mono Purple. He was used on Mono Purple. He came out second anniversary. That was a year ago. So, yeah, this unit aged pretty fucking well.
So the way the second anniversary
Now he's not
went
running
is
well.
we had
He still could be.
the initial
He's just not
banners of
good.
Vegeta Blue.
But he amps
then we
well.
had the banner with Pikkon and Super Kaioken Goku. And then we had the third banner, which was this Vegeta and the red Super Saiyan Blue Goku from the Future arc. This Vegeta, when he came out, you could have easily argued that he was the best character in the game. I don't think he was better than Vegeta Blue, but funny enough, I'm using both together.
I was gonna say
I'm
no.
using both
No
on
shot.
Future and Vegeta Blue pretty much couldn't lose because you just comboed forever and nothing could live. But technically, I mean, yeah, he was a ranged type character, but I mean, we could just quickly go through his kit here. So main ability, pretty similar of what we see from support characters of this time period. He gives 30% blast damage
Lower
to
sub count,
allies for 30
blah, blah,
counts,
blah,
shortens
blah,
that sub
right.
count by 5, draws a blue card.
Why do you
The
get
blue
black?
card effect is
Why do you
interesting
get
because it
overall?
actually gives a
that is
permanent
negative.
20% special move
Yeah.
damage buff for your
Which
whole
is
team,
ridiculous, by the way.
which is interesting. But I mean, obviously, it can be canceled, so you can't just infinitely stack this because at some point it's going to get
Back
canceled
then,
by your enemy.
no
right?
one's canceling that
this
shit,
day and
though.
age here.
That's why it's broken.
But I mean, we could take a. This is not too long, so we could see this. 20% damage by allies for 50.
I was just gonna go over his uniques. All right, I mean, I know his uniques. You know his uniques. He amps again. He does his blast. He fucking ramps up the amping. He honestly could have done I think it was 60 counts. He did most of his damage, then he just faded off to fucking negative air damage afterwards. But 60 counts. I mean, you had VB back then. Yeah, motherfuckers gonna go crazy. Even with the mono purple setup, you were amping the fuck out of GV. They were on boost. They were going crazy as well, so you didn't really need more than 60 counts, and even so, if you let him die, destroy enemy Dragon Balls as well. He did his job very well, this Vegeta, which is surprising because you would think as just after any unit, there'll just be some fodder characters like Pikkon kind of was, like the Red Super Saiyan Blue Goku was, because VB just genuinely existed, and he just made every red irrelevant for a good minute, until FSK Zenkai. Obviously, that fucking problem happened, which was a bigger problem, but Vegeta, how could you think he's not one of the best designed? He literally did his job to the perfection of perfection to any unit to his caliber at the time. There was nobody doing his job in any realm of capacity anywhere. If you didn't have this Vegeta, you were really, really, really hurting your team's output, and it was it was terrifying. Again, I don't think he's the best support unit to ever exist ever. I think Pan still does take that situation because her lowering sub count is just more frequent, like I mentioned, but he is definitely there in the high tier department. Being number 4, I'm shocked he's not number 2 or 1. I could see this guy's number 1, and I wouldn't be surprised by it. He aged well. You could tell he's been good. You could tell on Zenkai he's going to have this similar essence to him that he already had. This is still a long video, and I'm curious what's coming up next because this looks like a very long segment coming up here. Let's go number 3, though. I do agree with this Vegeta. He should be honestly higher. If I were to make this my own out of these 10 units, I'd put him higher.
Hey, you don't need to get that.
Personally.
I think there's a reason they don't make characters like this anymore. Just doing everything that he's
I
doing.
mean, they do.
With
Pan.
as much damage inflicted as he's
Pan,
giving.
Pan,
with
Pan.
the support.
Oh, because the
baked in
damage.
out here, with the
Pan on
death
boost
buff
was
that
kind of
he's
like this
giving
Vegeta.
as well,
A little
very
bit,
similar,
to an
this
extent.
second unique ability is
He
very
didn't
similar to
murder
3
you,
Super
but
Saiyan Trunks.
Pan
he has
did
50
very good
50
damage
tower
on
counts
boost as
of,
well with a lot of amp.
of an
And
offensive
she self
period
amps just like
where
him.
he's able to number 4 on the
Oh,
list.
it's still going? I thought I
the
skipped.
blue Vegeta from the future. Let's move on to the top 3. Okay, so we've moved into the
Ooh! Okay, this is interesting. He did age well, I will say, Gogeta Blue. He was used for a good minute, especially during that fucking hellish meta of Revival Goku just being a super tank, and this guy just being that 1v3 character with Vados himself, Rival Goku. Definitely was annoying meta. Don't get me wrong, but it was, his fucking era to shine, right? This high, I can't agree with that, though. While he is a fine unit, to an extent, he is not the worst thing in the world as an LF right now. He's just too slow. His situation of ramp up, while it is keeping forever because he does the strike, he lands a strike, okay, he keeps that situation of ramp up forever. You can't have that be consistent. I mean, you could have his ramp up exist, but like this dude's gonna get murdered in 2 cards by like a type neutral unit. So it's just like I can understand his spot in a top 10. I wouldn't have him this high though. I'd have him like 7, 8. He did age well. He did do his job well. He's a very fun unit to play with and or against because the mind games he creates with the green cards, while they're not annoying mind games, they're just mind games. You have to be cautious of his green card. Even today, like getting caught by his green card can get you nuked, not because of himself, because you can swap into somebody else. You're locked in 5 timer counts. You have no attribute upgrades. Some of your cuts there as well. You can fucking get murdered. You can get rushed. Whatever happens. So he can still give you a problem to an extent, very far extent, very like copium extent, but like that's kind of the furthest extent you could go. Had a cut there for a second. Now we're back to it, though. Let us see. So I mentioned something about Gogeta. I don't remember fully, but back to it. Gogeta. I know I mentioned some things. Let me hear what he has to say.
Number 3, we have LF Yellow.
I do not
Super
agree
Saiyan
with
Blue
this.
Gogeta.
Though he could be on the list. Like
So
10, 9,
I
8.
have to really talk carefully about why I have this character so high up on this list of well-designed characters. Because if you guys remember back to when this guy first came out, which again is now over 2 years ago, there were people who were actually disappointed with how quote-unquote underwhelming this character was on release. Like, there was a very, very vocal group of people, and by group of people, there was a large group of people that were, you know, of the opinion that this character was bad, this character was underwhelming, he wasn't as good as he should have been, etc., etc., etc.
Okay.
But the reason why I have this character so high up on this, well-designed list is mostly because of this green card. The fact, I think, if I had to
Let me hear this.
label this character, in like one sentence, I think I would call this probably the most carefully designed character ever, which obviously then would probably, in most instances, mean that he's one of the best designed characters ever, if he's the most carefully designed character ever. And the reason why is because there is a pretty big difference in this character whether you land this green card or not land this green card. But I mean, you take a look at this character pretty much for the first entire year of his release. Like, he was exceptionally good even if you didn't land this green card, right? And I think this is probably one of the top 5, if not even maybe like top 3 characters in the game that rewards skilled play by landing this green card and punishes enemies for playing badly, right, against you. It's not always,
I agree to an extent. I don't necessarily know if the word is badly. I think if you're playing aggressive, which is meant to be a more sought-after methodology of playing, you could get punished by this green card, right? So it's not you playing badly because you're playing aggressive. You're meant to play the game. You want to play the fucking game, right? It makes sense. Obviously, there's points to play a little passive, a little more aggressive than others, but you want to play the fucking game. That's why you download the game, and you want to play aggressive at some manners. But to call this a skilled green card, I mean, I understand it to an extent, because, like, yeah, you gotta, like, bait situations sometimes, but I think it's getting a lot more gas than it deserves. This green card's very good. It definitely did do a lot, definitely had a lot of impact in a match, especially early on in his release. But if that's the whole reason he's here, I don't agree with it at all. I don't think he should be on this list at all if the green card's the only reasoning. I think he aged fine. I think he aged worse than other units already on this list, though. If you're going for a fun factor, well, I guess landing the green card's the fun factor. But again, if that's the only thing, it's like, I don't know if that's enough. I don't think it's enough.
A reward for playing well. It's also a punishment for the enemy playing poorly a lot of times as well.
Yeah.
And so I do think it's important to have characters like this in the game to be able to, I guess, teach other players how to play and, what you should be.
Let me hold off on that. I don't think that's completely true, but this unit's very fed. When you say unit's fed, you're like, what does that mean? Fed means they have things that just auto go. You don't really have to think about anything. You don't have to think about, dropping combo or fucking a counter attack or some bullshit. You don't have to think about like a gauge or counter attack or some bullshit happening, right? It's a very auto combo character because he just has cover null on entry 3 times, what is it, 15 timer counts each or 10 timer counts, whatever the fuck it is, same thing. Just obviously a little shorter than the other. But he's a very fed character by just letting you auto-click cards. So I don't think this character helps you learn because of that. I think the green card does, but again, that's such a gas on such one art that's not even common to spawn, and it's not consistent enough for you to get all the time, because yes, you can bait it, but you're gonna fuck up sometimes. It's a skill dependent card, yes, but it's just not enough. It's that one thing that's getting gassed, and again, it's not enough to warrant this.
You shouldn't be doing, and it's just, you get punished by this guy's green card. Well, now you know not to do whatever you just did for the next time, right?
But you should already know that if you read kits.
That is definitely indicative of a character having a clear purpose or role on their team. I think this guy had a lot of longevity. I think I would even argue that if you're really good with this character and you could land his green card consistently, even today, over 2 years since his release, I would argue you could still use this character right now. Like you could put him on your team and you could bring him into PvP, and you will actually see value if you are able to land this green card semi-consistently with him.
Goresh.
And then in terms of a significant level of
no, you cannot have value with
perspective of both.
LF Gogeta Blue does not have value today. I'm sorry you guys have to hear this. No, he does not. I'm sorry. You could land 3 green cards in a match with him. I don't know why you even waste them with him, because there's better green cards that exist. You can land 3 green cards in a match with him on type neutral or disadvantaged units. It's still not enough value to warrant him. He is not good enough anywhere else in his kit to warrant this. He is not usable today. I promise you with all my heart. In like a high, good rank setting, he's not good. He's terrible.
Fun character in the game than this Gogeta, is there? If you're somebody
he
who's
is
actually
most
able to land
fun
the green
Gogeta,
card
I can say that.
consistently with this character, I mean, there's not much of a more fun character to use than this guy. And if you're the person playing against this Gogeta and you get hit by this green card, I mean, I want to say 9 out of 10 times it's probably because you played poorly. It's probably your fault that you got hit by the green card in 9 out of 10 cases.
Yeah.
So that I really like about this character. I think he's exceptionally well designed, and definitely a character I'm excited to see how they Zenkai awaken him down the line. But number 3 is going to be Blue Gogeta.
Still don't think he should be this high.
To number 2
at all.
I'm sure you guys knew this guy was coming up at some point on the list.
Puddly Boy. Yeah, I already mentioned him. I thought he could be number 1. I think he and Vegeta could swap in like a 1 or 2 position because how well they aged over time. Vegeta aged very well. Puddle aged very well. I think they could both be number 1 or 2, the Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta and him. But yeah, I already touched on Puddle. Way too good for how early he came out because of how well he's aged. Obviously, we can see that now. But I mean, yeah, he has a perfect design. There's no need for me to hear the intricacies because I already know them. We all know his design is very good.
You
right?
had to include this character because she was just too good.
Oh, Vados. Honorable mentions here,
so
by the way.
In terms of her longevity, she definitely existed for a long time. In terms of her, purpose or role in the team, she was like one of the best support characters of all time.
Yeah, she was an amp. She was a Pan. She was Pan.
Like her,
a worse Pan.
Purple Vegeta and the yellow Vegeta.
Pan is a mix of Puddle and Vados.
I think are probably the 3 best support characters.
That's how that works.
And then Red Pan is up there as well.
Yeah.
Red Pan would probably be in that mix, from 1 to 3, so somewhere in there probably, in terms of like the games.
This honorable mentions for number 1. Okay.
And this character actually does have a lot of parallels to the Red. And then
I agree with that. Yeah.
I put her in the list going to fight when she.
She's the only honorable mention.
Number changes.
She
switched.
Okay.
Annoying.
So let's get through this area. I want to hear number 1.
List. I think I fought her a lot of the time. So. I'd have her at number 11 here, but yeah.
Number 11. Okay, I'm a fucking moron.
Let's go ahead and jump into the number 1 spot on the list. Coming in at number 1 on the.
Wait, he is number 1. Wait, dude, he's still on boost. Okay, he did say longevity, and this unit's still on boost, so I don't think that flows in this department. Again, I agree he's not annoying to fight, so he kind of hits that box, and then he does have a purpose, and he does his purpose well. The situation of his support, of his damage, he is every role he does it well. All right. Even stopping Ultra Gogeta Blue. The one unit to not get rushed by Ultra Gogeta Blue, but not being a revival, is 17, because obviously if 17's already in, he cancels the endurance nullification that Ultra Gogeta Blue gets on rush. So I understand it. Number 1's really high. I would still have Puddle number 1, then maybe like Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, just because their aging was still great. That was a prerequisite from, right? Longevity, their kit designed like a clear-cut reasoning, like why they exist, and they do what they exist for, and both those units do that, right? 17, he's too new. I could see him like 4 3 maybe peak, but he's too new for me. I'll hear this, but I'm just saying for
characters
myself, I
in
think he's way
Dragon
too
Ball
new
Legends history list.
to validate this.
Going to
It's
be
too
LF
soon.
Android 17, a character that came out just 1 month ago, the
Yeah,
first
exactly.
LF release of 2023. I was very surprised and very pleased to see the way that they designed this character.
Very
I
well.
feel like the way that they made this character sort of like the introduction of the Universe Reps tag. Like, this is
Then we got UI.
100 This is definitely the
Nowhere
way
comparison.
you want to establish a foundation for a new tag. Right? Universe Reps was introduced with this character. I actually feel like there's a lot of similarities between this character and Blue Topo, right? Because Blue Topo, again, was a
was thinking
foundation character for the Rival Universe team.
Puddle
And
was
now this 17
always
is a foundation
there,
character
right?
for the Universe Reps team. And we've seen Universe Reps get fleshed out since this guy's release. And, I mean, you take a look at what character are you running no matter what? It's this character. No matter what your composition on Universe Reps is, you
I mean,
are
anywhere,
always keeping
honestly.
this
You run
character
androids.
constant.
People
You're
don't talk about
always
androids.
running
Androids, you
no
run
matter
them.
what
Like,
other
bro
people
is
you're running
God.
next to him. Like, this character is just such a good backbone
He's still
for
1
pretty
month
much
old
any
on Blue,
team.
so it's like,
And I remember
thought I managed my way through the fucking ads here. Tough.
even making a point about 17 before he came out, before we saw his details. It was just that the way this character becomes relevant moving forward, even past, Universe Reps being a good team, good competitive team, is you make this character a monster in the leader slot. So that down the line, if, let's say, Future...
Yeah,
gets
he's
a
already in
massive
leader
buff,
slot,
let's
yeah.
say,
You don't need to
I don't know, like,
throw him on there, but he
some
can work
really
on other
obscure
teams,
team
yeah.
like Girls or OG Dragon Ball,
Still androids.
becomes somewhat
Wait, what?
usable. Guess who the first option for your leader slot is going to be on pretty much any team? It's going to be...
He's going to say this unit, and you know that's not true. It's Ultra Gogeta Blue who's going to be your leader slot. I'm just saying Ultra Gogeta Blue is your leader slot unit forever and ever. Because solo, he is just better as a unit. What he does in his damage and his output and his fucking gauge being so oppressive. It's Ultra Gogeta Blue. But from the capacity of well-designed and actually fun to play against, yes, 17. But you're always leader slotting Ultra Gogeta. I'm just pointing that out for, continuity. I guess you could swap them, but one's strike-based, one's blast-based, so more teams want to be strike-based anyways, so it's usually Ultra Gogeta Blue. But 17, again, design-wise, you would leader him very often. Yes, I agree with that. Similar to where you do a Puddle on fucking movies or, wherever the fuck else you ran him, right? So,
17.
yes.
He brings,
Just design
brings so
wise,
much to
not
the table. Like the fact
actual
that
best unit-wise.
he's healing the whole team every time the enemy uses a
Cup
blue
pen,
card.
cup
the
pen,
enemy uses
mention
an
it.
ultimate. He's the first character in the game to have an anti-endurance, I guess the best way to say this is an anti-endurance mechanic, right?
Yes. He
So
stops
if the enemy
endurance
uses,
nullification.
let's say an ultimate that is supposed to nullify endurance, this 17 actually removes that attribute upgrade from the opponent before it
Order
hits
me to
him.
blue.
So he actually nullifies the endurance nullification.
On units
unique gauges in
he didn't mention this, but I think people don't understand it maybe. Sometimes, I don't know. I'm just going to mention it because people might not know. He nullifies the endurance nullification of units that can have it be nullified. So you might just, assume it's brought into, oh my god, Rose can't rush him. Oh my god, LF Droids. Oh my god, Full Power Frieza. They can't rush him. No, they can all rush him. Their endurance nullification cannot be cancelled. Ultra Gogeta Blues, he gets it on his usage of Rush, which can be cancelled. Doesn't say can't be cancelled. So 17 nullifies that situation, right? If they did an ultimate and they missed, but then they rushed 17 when he was already in, okay, he could stop that endurance nullification because it's still 3 counts, but he stops it because he, canceled that buff effect. If he still has that, valid in the match. But Rose, Droids, Full Power Frieza, the relevant full endurance nullifiers, cannot be canceled. So they can still do it, but Ultra Gogeta Blue is the one he's alluding to. Yes, he cannot do it if 17's already in. If 17's coming in, he can still get nullified. If he's already in, he can't get nullified. So you play around that, obviously.
insanely good. The fact that this guy has 2 vanishes when you fill up his unique gauge,
I'm pretty sure that was a bug.
there's
by the
not
way.
really much
it wasn't
like
supposed
that
to be
in
that.
the game that we see from other characters.
It was supposed to be
Like,
one
this
time he
character,
gets that. I'm
That
pretty sure. I don't
combined
know.
with
They
the
said something about
arts card power down when the enemy uses blue cards and removing the buffs.
He does arts card power. I thought he
I don't
cancels. No, he cancels
really
actually
see
upgrades
an
buff effects.
argument
Zamasu
for a
does
different
arts power on
character
blue
that
cards.
would overtake this guy in
And
terms
ults.
of being well designed. He's
think-
allowing you
Yeah.
to play the game when a character named Ultra Gogeta Blue pretty much doesn't allow you to play the game.
While
in
being a
most
range type.
cases. This is the only character that can really go
Pretty
toe-to-toe
good.
with him. And I think as we move forward, I even made the same statement back before we even saw his full kit, but like this character is poised to be the best second character on every single team for a very long time. Again, you just chuck him on your leader slot. He is,
that's I don't know if it's a statement I agree with. I mean, again, he's just too new to gauge like we could try to like gauge him off boost and like kind of get like an opinion and feel for like how he'll feel like in a month when boost ends for him, right? But like to say he's gonna be like this god age and all this, like there's a lot of statements saying he's like the next Puddle, and he can't be like in the time span of aging. Like, okay, Puddle is 2 years old and he's still top 15. This 17 quite literally cannot do that. Like, the power creep of units, the power of units is too strong, and what they can do with fucking Mafuba now, with the gauge of how broken it is, we're going to get an offense-based gauge similar to Ultra Gogeta Blue. We're going to get a blast-based gauge similar to Ultra Gogeta Blue that does the literal opposite of what he does right now. I don't know if he'll age in that process. I'll understand now his gassing because he is meant to be gassed right now. He is godly right now. But to say he's in this realm of like this number one best design, I think he does his stuff well. I just think it's too early to call him a number one best design unit because there is not enough situations we've seen in his meta shifting that's existed. Like, he's been on a team that's had good situation, if not a leader slot position, that's always had a good situation. What happens when he gets to a situation where there's a super strong green? What happens when that happens? He doesn't really, I don't know if he thrives as much. Well, especially if that green doesn't really rely on blue cards like the tag 4s do. I don't know if his thriving is there because, Rev UI isn't that offensively amazing in pre. He's okay, but he's not that great. I don't know if he thrives as often as he does now. Again, we don't really have a good green, so him thriving now is number one. It's good design for the situation we're in now, but does it flow for the rest of fucking eternity for as long as Puddle did? I don't know about all that. Especially, Puddle goes neutral a lot more consistent than the 17. I think it's like on main for 15 counts. Puddle just exists neutral for like 30 counts. It's like when someone dies, it's like literally double.
Gauge, double.
That helps him age a lot better.
Double vanishing gauge, assuming that you have your gauge built up. Just a really strong character. It's going to be really hard to top this guy in terms of design specifically, but
I agree with that.
Yeah,
it does too much.
I'm absolutely
which
in
is
love with
a
the
good
way
thing,
they design
actually,
because
there's no negatives to what he's doing. It's just all positive
well,
rush damage as well. Right?
I don't know. There's not really much I need to say about him. I think he's pretty much the perfect design character. I don't really see any flaws with his kit at all. None. The only criticism I guess you could have is maybe make his unique gauge take a little bit shorter to build up. That was the initial thought that I had. Like, I think the first time I used him,
you shouldn't get it too quick. It's too good.
A little bit too long.
Dude, he double vanishes too often. Then fuck
might
that.
Still be the case, but you have to understand how powerful it is. You're getting an extra vanishing gauge from filling up his unique gauge.
Also, stealing mains. That's pretty good.
Yeah, number one on the list is going to be LF17. And just to go through the list one more time, the honorable mention.
Okay. Again, 17 I think is a little bit gassed here. I understand his goodness. Trust me, I think this unit is actually number one right now, like as a unit overall, because of how good Unireps is. Unireps is more like PO right now. Hello, Mr. Ambulance. Unireps is like old PO, where PO was number one for a good time. Or not a good time, but like for a small time there. Just like Unireps is so Stargated, I'll just shut the fuck up so you guys can go by, don't worry. Unireps is so, not Unireps. My fucking point, because of the ambulance. PO was so Stargated, you didn't see it often, right? Unireps is in the same boat, where Unireps is very Stargated, but if it's very high up stars, it's the best team in the game. I think 17 obviously flows in that category. I just think, again, he's too new. Let me know what you guys think of my reaction to Goresh's best designed top 10 units in the game, and I'll see you guys in the next one.